Before midnight, your anointing will be targeted by someone you fed, loved, and forgave. Before midnight, the hour between what was and what shall be, a divine threshold stands open, not merely a passage of time, but a shift in realms. It is the moment when heaven leans close to earth, when angels draw their swords, and when destinies are decided in silence. The hour before midnight is not a moment of slumber, but a divine courtroom. Hear this, you who are spiritually sensitive. What will happen before midnight is not coincidence. It is a divine collision. This is not for the casual listener. This is not for the lukewarm soul. This message is for the spiritually alert, for those who have sensed the rumbling in the heavens, for those who have carried the weight of an invisible war. You felt it lately, haven't you? The atmosphere has shifted. The tension in the spirit has grown thicker. And it's not random, it's prophetic. Because the enemy has read the signs on your life and seen what others could not see. Your anointing is about to break open. And just before it breaks, betrayal will knock. Not from afar. No, this wound will come cloaked in the face of familiarity. It will look like someone you fed, someone you loved, someone you forgave. And that's what makes it burn deeper. Because they didn't just witness your growth, they ate from your hands while watching you rise. They sat at your table while their heart turned. They smiled while their spirit soured. But do not despair. God was watching it all. The Most High, the Ancient of Days, has not turned his eyes away from your pain. He saw what you gave in silence. He counted every act of love you extended in secret. He recorded the tears you never explained and the prayers you never shared. He has been watching from his holy throne, and he has seen how you served faithfully while being pierced quietly. He saw it when you chose love over vengeance. He recorded it when you forgave what others would have fought. And now, before midnight, heaven is calling your name to remembrance. The betrayal that is coming, yes, it is coming, is not because you failed. It is because you are favored. The closeness they had to you was never about comfort. It was access to your oil. And now that your oil is rising, the bitterness in their heart is stirring. Don't react. Don't retaliate. Just remain still. For what is about to unfold must come by revelation. And revelation requires silence. Listen now, for this is the hour when the faithful must not flinch, and the anointed must not speak. Silence will shield you. Stillness will speak louder than defense. And discernment will become your weapon. If you lean into the Spirit, if you hold your peace, what they meant to destroy will expose their own intentions. And when the clock strikes midnight, the exchange will be complete. Their betrayal will be your birthing. Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Not in the natural first. No, not yet. It breaks in the unseen. It breaks in the silence. It breaks in the dark. It breaks in the places where no eyes see but all of heaven watches. Hear this now. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual rupture, a sacred tearing, a divine undoing of what has tried to cling to your spirit for too long. Before midnight, something breaks, and if you are not alert, you may misread the breaking as a loss, when it is in fact a release. This word is not common. This message is not ordinary. This is not for those who scroll casually through spiritual things. This is a divine intersection. Heaven has interrupted your timeline to drop this in your spirit. The archangel Michael has come to war, and with sword drawn and wings extended, he is sounding the call to the watchmen, the intercessors, the anointed, the weepers, the givers, the silent carriers of burdens. You, yes, you, have been called into a sacred moment. There is divine urgency stirring in the air. Can you feel it? It is not anxiety, it is alertness. It is not fear, it is fire. The Spirit is stirring. The veil is thin. The realm of heaven is closer than your breath. Something is being spoken about you in places higher than earthly courts. The courtroom of heaven has issued summons over your name, and you are now standing in the chambers where destiny is decided. Listen to the urgency in this word. Time is running thin. Not to panic, no, but to prepare. This is not the hour to entertain the familiar just because it feels safe. This is not the moment to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand your oil. There is no time left to delay the shedding of what no longer fits your spirit. The betrayal that is forming, yes, forming, is heaven's permission to sever what should have been cut long ago. But don't miss this. It's wrapped in love, cloaked in care, wrenched in history. It comes through someone you once wept for, once covered in prayer, once carried financially, emotionally, spiritually. You fed them. You forgave them. You opened your arms while they sharpened their tongues. You wept for their breakthrough while they waited for your breakdown. But God saw it. Heaven counted it. A kingdom remembered. And now, before midnight, the final divine permission is being signed in the spirit realm. This betrayal is not catching heaven off guard. It is not a mistake. It is not even the enemy's ultimate plan. It is God's holy strategy. Because you wouldn't leave. You wouldn't let go. You wouldn't close the door. So God allowed their heart to harden, so their hand would strike, so your destiny would be released. The spirit of Judas is not just betrayal, it is permission to walk into prophecy. So pause here. Take this in. This message is sacred. This moment is holy. You're not just hearing this. You're being summoned, called, charged. And if you feel your spirit stirring, that's not just emotion. That's activation. That's your anointing beginning to tighten around you like a cloak of fire. That's your wings beginning to spread. The resistance you feel is not a sign to stop. It is confirmation that the heavenlies are pressing in. And you must not turn away. You must not shrink. Because before midnight, if you dare to remain still, heaven will show you who they are. You won't need to expose them. You won't need to defend yourself. You won't need to explain a single thing. All you need to do is stay silent. Silent. Still. Alert. Anointed. The angels have already been dispatched. The war has already begun. And God has already gone before you. This is not a season of fighting, it is a season of knowing. Knowing who you are. Knowing who they are. Knowing who He is. And heaven is making it clear, this message is not for the many, but for the marked. Not for the curious, but for the called. So I say it again as the word of the Lord. Before midnight, something breaks. And when it breaks, don't mourn. Don't panic. Don't grasp. Just stand. Watch. Wait. And trust. Because when it breaks, you rise. Type I am chosen in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 777 is now surrounding you. They've been acting strange lately, haven't they? Something's been off. The words still sound the same, but the tone, it stings differently now. The hugs feel hollow. The laughter rings distant. You've noticed it, in glances too quick to catch, in conversations that drift around you like fog. And though they've smiled at your wins, you felt a strange silence under their applause. That's because something shifted in the spirit. not in what you said, but in what they saw. You see, it's not what you did that triggered it. It's who you've become. Your glow, your grace, your growing strength, they've been watching it. Oh yes, they've dined with you. They've broken bread with you. They've sat at your table and laughed in your presence, all while something quiet burned inside them. Jealousy isn't always loud. Envy doesn't always speak, but it sees. And what it sees in you, it cannot unsee. It's not your fault. You love it purely. You gave generously. You serve without agenda. But hear this, some hearts can't handle the oil you carry. They can sip from your cup, but once it overflows, they grow bitter instead of blessed. Because deep inside them, the question begins to echo, why them and not me? And that's the seed. That's where it begins. Not with betrayal, not with backstabbing, but with a whisper. A whisper of comparison. A whisper of resentment. A whisper that festers until it infects. And now, you're living in the tension of being near someone who still hugs you, still texts you, still claims to love you, but whose spirit is unsettled by your rising. They say, I'm happy for you, but their silence during your win says otherwise. They overhelp, but their heart harbors judgment. They cheer you in public, yet question you in private. And now, you don't feel safe, but you don't know why. Something in your spirit tugs. Something divine is signaling you. And you're not paranoid, you're perceiving. They watched you rise, but couldn't understand why you didn't fall. They remember your pain. They know what you came out of. They were there when you broke, when you lost, when you barely stood. And that's what troubles them. Not your anointing now, but the fact that you're still standing despite everything you went through. It doesn't make sense to them. How can someone who suffered so much still shine so brightly? You're not imagining this. You're not too sensitive. What you feel is real. Because their spirit has shifted. Their loyalty has fractured. And the same hands that once helped hold you up are now being positioned to push you down. But not because they are evil, because they are unhealed. They don't know how to love someone who outgrew the room. They don't know how to handle someone who stayed loyal while leveling up. And instead of asking for wisdom, they let the wound win. That's why this is so confusing. Because it's not hate, it's heartbreak. It's not malice, it's misalignment. They wanted the version of you that needed them, not the one that soared without them. And now, you're no longer the same, but they refuse to evolve with you. And here lies the mystery. They know you're marked, but not why. They can sense the fire on your life. They can feel the weight of your calling. They can't explain it, but they recognize it. That's why they stay close, not to celebrate you, but to monitor you. And it's this familiarity that makes the betrayal so devastating. Because when the strike comes, it won't come from an outsider. It will come from someone you trusted. And yet, hear this clearly, this betrayal is not your defeat. It is your divine signal. Heaven is using their silence to speak. Heaven is using their change of posture to warn you. This is not the season to confront. This is not the hour to accuse. This is the sacred time to withdraw into the Spirit, because God is revealing more in silence than you could uncover in speech. You felt uneasy because your spirit had been searching for the source of this disruption. And now, the veil is being pulled back. The one you loved, the one you served, the one you forgave. They have been watching your mantle rise and haven't reconciled why God chose you. But God did choose you. And now, before midnight, He is exposing what had been hidden behind friendly faces and familiar voices. So what do? You don't harden. You don't hate. You don't turn bitter. You turn inward. You turn upward. You stay grounded in grace and covered in discernment. Because what is happening around you is not random. It is prophetic. It is the fulfillment of the pattern. Before destiny unlocks, the disguised Judas always appears. Let the tension sit. Let the silence speak. Let the shift become your signal. And above all, guard your oil. Because when the betrayal comes, and it won't destroy you. It will distinguish you. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Subscribe to our channel for more prophetic messages, spiritual insight, and divine guidance. Stay connected and stay covered. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. They are not coming after you because of who you are. They are coming after you because of where you're going. This is not personal. It's positional. The conflict you're facing, the betrayal you're sensing, the spiritual friction you're feeling, it's not rooted in your personality, your choices, or even your relationships. It is anchored in your anointing. It is fueled by your calling. You have become a spiritual threat, not because of anything you've done wrong, but because of everything you've done right. Heaven has marked you, and hell has noticed. This is not a simple falling out. This is not a minor misunderstanding. This is spiritual warfare disguised in emotional disruption. It looks like confusion. It sounds like miscommunication. It feels like distance. But in the realm of the spirit, this is far more than relational breakdown. This is warfare over your next dimension. The enemy doesn't strike where there is no threat. He only surrounds those who are carrying something dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. And yes, that includes you. Especially you. Because you were obedient when it cost you everything. Because you served in silence when no one saw. Because you stayed pure in a perverse culture. Because you forgave when they mocked you. Because you kept loving people who didn't know how to love you back. You carried your oil with reverence. You stewarded your wounds with humility. And that alone made you a target. God is not punishing you through this betrayal. He is revealing who was never assigned to your promise. Just like Saul couldn't handle David's favor, just like Judas couldn't survive Jesus' elevation, the hearts around you are being tested by your transformation. They were fine when you were low. They supported you when you were broken. They comforted you when you cried. But now that you're rising, now that the glory is becoming visible, now that the anointing is breaking open like oil in a crushed vessel, they are silent. They are distant. They are strange. And here's what you must understand. This is the way of the chosen. The moment you are set apart by God, you are misunderstood by man. The closer you walk in obedience, the more warfare surrounds you. Because elevation in the spirit always creates disruption in the flesh. This betrayal isn't the problem. It's the process. It's the proving. It's the pruning of what cannot go with you into your next chapter. David didn't ask for Saul's jealousy. He earned it through obedience. Jesus didn't provoke Judah's betrayal. He provoked it through destiny. The moment David was anointed, the spear was inevitable. The moment Jesus washed Judah's feet, The betrayal was scheduled. And now, in your life, the moment you chose righteousness, the opposition began forming silently. But you must hear this. This is not rejection. It is revelation. This is not the enemy winning. This is God uncovering. Heaven is using the betrayal to remove what you would have never let go. He is allowing the arrow to fly so that the armor on your spirit can be tested. Not to break you, but to confirm you. Not to wound you, but to wake you. This is a holy unmasking. Because if he didn't let this happen now, you would have taken the wrong people into your next dimension. If he didn't allow the discomfort, you would have remained tied to spirits that don't carry your assignment. And so, in mercy, yes, in mercy, he is letting the betrayal expose what you refuse to question. So don't take this personally. Take it prophetically. The betrayal is not an insult. It is a map. It is showing you where your spirit is no longer safe. It is revealing who has watched your tears without praying, who has celebrated your success without clapping, who has smiled in your face while whispering in their heart. And God, in his infinite wisdom, is letting it all unfold just before midnight. Why? Because midnight is a spiritual crossing point. It is where endings and beginnings collide. And before you cross into what's next, you must be loosed from what's behind. You must be severed from what would have strangled your purpose. You must be sanctified through suffering. You must be stretched, separated, and sanctified. Because the next thing God is about to release through your life cannot be entangled in emotional debris. You are not in a war of words. You are in a war of realms. This is not about being liked. This is about being lifted. This is not about fitting in. This is about breaking through. And the sooner you understand that, the freer you'll be from expecting comfort in places that were only meant to be temporary. Some people were never meant to walk with you past this chapter, but God had to let them get close enough to test your discernment. So don't lash out. Don't retaliate. Don't panic. Just discern. Because what's happening to you is not an accident. It is strategy. It is alignment. It is revelation. And it is preparing you for the moment when midnight strikes and the door to your next level swings open. The betrayal is just the bell, announcing that graduation is near. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 888 is now surrounding your elevation. Not by man, not in a courtroom, not in the eyes of the world, but in the spirit realm, where voices carry weight and words release war. The betrayal that has been stirring is nearing its moment of execution. The seed of envy that once trembled in silence is now finding its voice. A conversation is coming. A narrative is being shaped. And a decision, one laced in dishonor, in distortion, in deception, is about to be made regarding your name. This is your divine warning. They are preparing to speak against you. Not loudly, not publicly, but subtly and spiritually. Their voice may sound innocent, but their spirit carries a dagger. What they say may sound concerned, may even sound reasonable, but it is not truth. It is not love. It is sabotage clothed in familiarity. It is deception wrapped in shared history. And the danger of this hour is that the attack won't feel like war. It will feel like betrayal. It won't come with swords. It will come with secrets. Before dawn, something will be released. Something will be said. Something will be done. And heaven is giving you this prophetic alert not to fear, but to prepare. Because while you sleep, your name will be mishandled in a room you won't be invited into. While you rest, your motives will be misunderstood by someone you once covered in prayer. They are preparing to release a version of you that is not true, and God wants you to know. Do not chase the lie. Do not fight the narrative. Do not run after your reputation. Because this battle is not in the flesh. It never was. This is not about your image. It's about your inheritance. The enemy wants you to come down from your place of peace. He wants to bait you into distraction, to trap you in emotional warfare, to drag you into conversations that dilute your clarity. But you are not who they say you are who heaven called you to be. And heaven is not silent about you. Heaven is roaring. In the unseen realm, there is motion. There are angels leaning over heavenly scrolls with your name engraved in oil. There are intercessors, those you've never met, being awakened in the night to cry out on your behalf. There are trumpets being polished, swords being drawn, shields being raised. Because while someone prepares to assassinate your name with words, heaven is preparing to authenticate your name with weight. So don't panic. Don't retaliate. Don't try to fix what is not your burden to repair. Instead, be still. Let the betrayal finish what it started. Let them speak. Let them scheme. Let them dig. Because the God who watches in secret is not blind to dishonor. And this time, he will respond not with silence, but with a shift. Understand this. The attack forming is not about this moment. It's about your mantle. The betrayal isn't a reaction to your behavior. It's a reaction to your becoming. The words being formed against you are not rooted in truth. They are rooted in fear. Because your elevation has intimidated the spirits that were once comfortable around you. And instead of repenting, they are retaliating. But they've made one critical mistake. They forgot that God always responds to covenant. And you, beloved, are in covenant with the Most High. You have sown in tears. You have worshipped while bleeding. You have forgiven when it would have been easier to cut them off. You have labored when you were empty, served when you were overlooked, and praised when you were persecuted. And now, as the arrows are released in the unseen, heaven is stepping in with vengeance not born of bitterness but of justice. This is a holy moment, a tipping point. And before midnight gives way to morning, heaven will issue a verdict. The divine judge will rule in your favor. The spiritual court will silence the tongues that rose against you. And the same mouths that sought to dishonor you will be met with divine restraint. Because no curse can land where there is covenant. No accusation can hold when heaven has already decreed, "This one is mine." You are not alone in this hour. You are not exposed. You are not forgotten. Even now, the Spirit of the Lord is surrounding your home, your name, your future. Even now, a spiritual firewall is rising around you, not built by hands, but by heaven. And as the enemy's words fly through the night, they will hit the invisible shield of divine authority. They will fall to the ground. They will return void. They will boomerang back to their sender. So heed this warning. Guard your peace. Guard your tongue. Guard your time. This is not a time to explain yourself. This is not a time to react emotionally. This is a time to trust the God who fights in the shadows. This is the moment to lean into stillness, to listen for instructions, to fasten your faith like armor. Because before dawn comes, a release will take place. A betrayal will unfold. A misrepresentation will be planted. But none of it, hear this, none of it will have the final word. Because heaven is watching. Justice is stirring. Angels are responding. And the decision made about you in the shadows, it will collapse under the weight of truth. Type "I trust God's justice" in the comments if you receive this warning. Lesson code 444 is now shielding your name. Yes, still your hands, Still your tongue, still your desire to respond, to fix, to prove, to confront. The temptation is rising. You want to say something. You want to explain yourself. You want to unmask them. You want to expose the whispers. Confront the dishonor. Defend your character. But hear the voice of the Lord, clear and thunderous through the chaos. Be still. Let the heavens fight this battle. This is not your war to win. This is not your battle to wage. This is not a moment for the flesh to act. This is a moment for the spirit to rise. There is something sacred about silence. Something powerful about the absence of reaction. And right now, in this sacred hour before midnight, God is asking you to do what feels unnatural, to let Him take the wheel while your heart stays quiet and your mouth remains sealed. Silence is not weakness, it's warfare. You see, when you withdraw into silence, you don't disappear, you become hidden under divine surveillance. When you say nothing, you invite heaven to say everything. When you refuse to strike back, the Lion of Judah begins to roar on your behalf. You must understand this. Your silence is not the absence of power. It is the announcement of divine positioning. Your refusal to retaliate is not cowardice. It is confidence in the God who sees all, hears all, and judges righteously. Withdraw. Not from your calling. Not from your joy. Not from your peace. Withdraw from the chaos. Withdraw from their performance. Withdraw from the false storylines being formed in secret. You must resist the urge to go low, because the higher you climb, the clearer the air becomes. And what once demanded your attention no longer deserves your energy. Instead of speaking, pray. Instead of responding, observe. Instead of chasing clarity from man, seek wisdom from God. In the quiet of the night, as shadows try to stretch across your name, sit still and whisper the ancient promises back to heaven. You are my defender. You are my shield. You are the one who makes my enemies my footstool. And as you whisper, the Spirit of the Lord will begin to rise within you, not in chaos, but in confidence. And this confidence must become your spiritual rhythm. I am protected. I am washed. I am known. Say it over and over again until it breaks through the noise. Until it silences the fear. Until it untangles the questions in your soul. I am protected. I am washed. I am known. You are not vulnerable. You are guarded. You are not exposed. You are enveloped. You are not forgotten. You are remembered in the heavens, where your name is etched in fire. Even now, heaven is watching how you respond. Not because God needs you to prove yourself, but because this moment is a test, a sacred, heaven-sent test. Will you trust His justice? Will you release the urge to retaliate? Will you wait while He works? Because every second you stay silent is a second the Spirit gains ground. Every moment you don't defend yourself is a moment God builds a case on your behalf in the invisible courtroom of eternity. Your restraint is your roar. Your stillness is your sword. Your silence is your strategy. Let them speak. Let them build their case. Let them paint you wrong. Let them believe they've won. Because the moment you stay quiet, God thunders. He thunders in power. He thunders in justice. He thunders in truth. And the sound of His thunder is always louder than their whispers. Let God have the final word. Let Him avenge what you don't have time to chase. Let Him correct what your explanations could never convince. You are not here to manage perception. You are here to protect your peace. You are not called to fight every voice that rises. You are called to listen for the one voice that calms the storm. And that voice is speaking now, wrapping around your spirit with holy clarity. Stay still. I've got this. He knows what they said. He heard what they planned. He saw what they tried to twist. And yet, he also sees your posture. He sees your obedience. He sees the trembling in your chest as you choose prayer over petness, worship over warfare, surrender over suspicion. He sees how hard it is to hold your peace when your name is under siege, and that's why he's sending reinforcement. Even now, angels are surrounding your name. The sword of the Lord is drawn. The winds of vindication are beginning to stir. And the silence you keep tonight will echo in the courts of heaven as proof that your faith was mature enough to let God speak for you. This is not about silence as passivity. This is silence as prophecy. Because when you stay quiet, you prophesy with your posture. I believe God more than I believe gossip. I trust His vindication more than I need validation. I choose ovation over reaction. I choose stillness over striving. And so, child of God, remain tucked in the Spirit. Stay hidden in His wings. Let the thunder roll while you rest. The battle is no longer yours. It belongs to the Lord. Type I am hidden in God in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 999 is now shielding your peace. You're no longer naive. That version of you, the one who explained everything, apologized for shining, trunked to make others comfortable, stayed loyal to what was draining, and questioned your worth because of who walked away, that version hath been buried. Heaven did allow this betrayal to crush you. Heaven allowed it to wake you. You're no longer the same, and that's not arrogance, that's awareness. You have seen too much. You have endured too long. You have overcome too many storms to still pretend you're fragile. This betrayal did not break you. It broke the illusion you were still supposed to fit into their expectations. You've outgrown that shell. You've outgrown that cycle. And now, without asking for permission, you are rising. They wanted the version of you that begged for approval. But heaven demanded a version of you that walks in authority. You're no longer waiting to be invited to tables that can't hold the weight of your calling. You're building new altars with heaven stones. You're standing now with fire in your eyes and peace in your steps. You have wings now. They just didn't notice. They were too familiar with your former self. They were too distracted by your humility to see your greatness. They mistook your silence for passivity. They assumed your forgiveness meant forgetfulness. But oh, how wrong they were. What they didn't realize was this. You were transforming in the background. You were healing in the dark. You were sharpening in silence. You were learning how to soar, they were learning how to speed. And now, as you begin to rise, the distance they created becomes your divine liftoff. You are like the eagle, built to fly above the clouds, untouched by the noise below. You are like the phoenix, formed by fire, resurrected by pain, reborn from ashes that others buried you under. They thought the betrayal would keep you grounded. They thought the rejection would halt your progress. They thought the silence would strip you of strength. But instead, you were refined. You were elevated. You were set apart. Every tear you cried became fuel for your wings. Every night you stayed up wondering why they changed became oil for your calling. Every time you chose to pray instead of react, heaven added another feather to your flight. And now, you're not just rising, you're soaring. You're not just surviving, you're reigning. Because this isn't a comeback. This is a divine promotion. Don't let them confuse your peace with weakness. You're not avoiding conflict. You're obeying God. You're not ignoring injustice. You're investing in destiny. You're not overlooking betrayal. You're overriding the enemy's script with heaven's decree. You know who you are now. You're walking different. You're seeing clear. Your discernment is sharper. Your circle is smaller. And your oil is heavier. This isn't the end of your story. This is your beginning. The betrayal wasn't the final chapter. It was a turning of the page. You're walking into a realm where not everyone can follow, and that's okay. Let them misunderstand. Let them assume. Let them wonder why you've become distant. You don't owe explanations in the elevation. You owe obedience to the one who called you higher. This is your rising, not your ruin. Say that aloud. Declare it over yourself. This is my rising, not my ruin. Every attack only confirmed what you carry. Every lie exposed the level you were about to unlock. Every silence from others was the sound of heaven orchestrating your next move. And now, you walk with a new posture, not because of pride, but because of perspective. You've seen what betrayal couldn't steal. You've tasted what rejection couldn't block. And you felt what loss couldn't bury, divine purpose. You're standing in the space between where you've been and where you're going, and there's no going back. The bridge is burned, but the wings are working. And no weapon formed against you, physical, emotional, verbal, spiritual, can prosper in the presence of someone who had been refined by the fire. You are heaven's evidence. The proof that God will use broken people to build powerful futures. The living example that betrayal is not the end. It is the escort into destiny. So lift your head. Straighten your shoulders. You're not a casualty of this conflict. You're a commander now. And you will walk into rooms that your betrayal prepared you for. You will stand in places that your heartbreak ushered you toward. You will receive honor that your rejection qualified you to carry. Because when God raises you, no one can erase you. Type "I am rising" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1717 is now elevating your path. This is not your undoing. This is your unlocking. Let every voice that said it would break you be silenced. Let every whisper that tried to convince you that you were finished be buried. Let every shadow that crept into your mind be cast out by this glorious light. What you thought was the end was the entrance. What you perceived as sabotage was actually set up. What felt like a curse was in truth a commissioning. You've been marked, not just by pain but by prophecy. A betrayal was brutal. The silence time. The shift blindsided you. But you must hear this with your spirit open. God allowed them close so you would know how to pray. He allowed them to see your heart so He could show you theirs. He let you love them, feed them, cover them, not because they deserved it, but because your obedience would unlock the next level of glory. And now that it has happened, now that the knife has landed in your back, now that your name has been tossed around without care, God speaks. Heaven has made a decision. Your next has been released. Your name was whispered in heaven last night. Not in anger, not in judgment, in preparation. The angels gathered around your story. A scroll was unrolled. A warfare was recorded. A betrayal was weighed. And the verdict was issued. It is time. Time for the oil to flow. Time for the weight to settle. Time for the heavens to pull the curtain back and reveal what has been forming in silence. At betrayal, it was the final key. At silence, it was the final test. That conversation that happened without your presence but centered on your name. It was a divine signal that promotion is at hand. Because what they said didn't stop you. It marked you. It activated what was dormant. It proved you were ready. Not because you fought back, but because you held your peace when the fire got hot. And now, heaven is opening the vault. You are stepping into the fulfillment of prayers you barely had the words to speak. You are walking through doors that only betrayal could unlock. And though it came from someone you fed, someone you loved, someone you forgave, that only confirms that you were chosen to survive it. Not to be bitter, not to be broken, but to birth something supernatural, something eternal, something weighty, something unmistakably divine. Let it settle into your spirit now. This betrayal is birthing your breakthrough. What they meant to use as a weapon will become a wound. What they meant to use for harm, God is transforming into harvest. They thought it would silence you, but it has amplified your purpose. They thought they were writing the end, but heaven used it to begin a new scroll. This is what promotion looks like in the kingdom. It doesn't arrive with trumpets. It arrives with tears. It doesn't come through flattery. It comes through fire. And the ones closest to you are often the ones God uses to release it, not because they are your enemy, but because their proximity holds the key to the pressing. So stop mourning the loss. Stop replaying the moment. Stop questioning the why. Heaven already answered it. Heaven already wrote the strategy. Heaven already turned the page. Now it's your turn to rise into it, to walk boldly, speak clearly, and stand tall. Because you don't walk alone. You walk under divine assignment. You are about to see how God uses pain as prophecy. How He takes betrayal and wraps it in breakthrough. How He takes your rejection and transforms it into royalty. Because when God promotes a person, He always allows pressure first. He allows the crushing. He allows the silence. He allows the mystery. And then suddenly, like midnight bursting into morning, He reveals the reason. This is your reason. This is your rising. This is your moment. Do not let the confusion of yesterday rob you of the clarity heaven is offering today. You are being launched, not just pushed, not just moved, but launched into destiny. The betrayal with the launch gun. The silence was a countdown. And now, heaven is saying lift off. Lift off into clarity. Lift off into peace. Lift off into authority. The very people who thought they were ending your assignment have now unintentionally ushered you into divine acceleration. And no one, no man, no demon, no delay, can close what God is unlocking now. Let this be the moment you stop doubting what God hath been showing you. Let this be the confirmation that everything they did, God used. Every word spoken against you, God turned into a building block. Every disappointment, He turned into design. Every attack, He repurposed into an announcement. You have not lost anything. You have only gained. If this message has awakened something in you and you feel led to support this work, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $10. Your generosity fuels more content like this, and we're truly grateful for your partnership in this mission. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe for prophetic insight, spiritual breakthroughs, and empowering messages every week. This is your spiritual home. Type I am unlocked in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3131 has now been released over your future. Say it with your spirit wide open. I rise. I release. I reign. This is not just affirmation. This is declaration. This is not just words. This is warfare. The betrayal was not the end of your story. It was the activation of it. The pain was not pointless. It was prophetic. Everything you endured was a setup to unlock what had been buried deep inside you all along. You weren't just being tested, you were being transformed. And now, your destiny is no longer on hold. This is the time for spiritual alignment, not with the voices of your past, not with the opinions of people who couldn't recognize your value, but with the voice of the one who wrote your name in fire before the foundations of the earth. You are not here by accident. You didn't survive this by chance. That betrayal didn't hit your life to destroy you. It struck to reveal you. Because the oil on your life can no longer be hidden behind hesitation. Heaven is saying, come forth. Come forth from the shadows. Come forth from the silence. Come forth from the great loss. Come forth from the confusion who left. Heaven is not asking for your perfection. It is demanding your permission. Will you rise into who you are now? Will you step into the mantle that the fire has forged? Because this isn't about being ready. This is about being willing. Destiny doesn't respond to comfort. It responds to courage. So open your mouth and prophesy over your life. I say yes. Say it again. I say yes. Say yes to the unknown. Say yes to the call. Say yes to the oil. Say yes to the silence that brought you strength, to the betrayal that unlocked your vision, to the season that revealed your identity. You were born for this moment. The enemy tried to use confusion to paralyze you. But now, heaven uses clarity to recommission you. This is your reintroduction. This is your emergence. This is the moment where your calling and your courage must walk hand in hand. There is no turning back. What was once your comfort zone is now your crucible. And the crucible has done its job. It has refined you into something indestructible. The door is open now. And it does not open through emotion. It opens through obedience. You can't cry your way through it. You must obey your way into it. Heaven is waiting on your agreement. Hell has already been served notice. And now the earth must respond to the new sound rising from your life. It is not the sound of a victim. It is not the sound of a survivor. It is the sound of a son, a daughter, a king, a priest, anointed, appointed, activated. There's no room anymore for shrinking. No time to replay what happened. No space left for apologies about who you've become. You are not obligated to keep explaining your growth to those who chose comfort over calling. You are no longer required to defend your obedience to people who confuse elevation with ego. Let them misunderstand. Let them misable. You are moving into motion. And what God is about to do through your yes will silence everything they tried to say. Because this level is not about how you feel. It's about what you've decided. And the decision must be made now. Will you keep waiting for validation, or will you walk in the mantle? Will you keep feeding people who bite the hand that serves them, or will you now protect your oil and release your roar? The choice is yours. Destiny is activated not by emotion, but by decision. Heaven is watching for the ones who are ready to move when misunderstood, the ones who are ready to lead while lonely, the ones who are willing to carry glory even when it attracts warfare. That's you. You are that one. That's why the betrayal hit so close. That's why the pain ran so deep. That's why the shift felt so heavy. Because the calling is no longer theory. It's reality now. Doors are opening. Realms are unlocking. Favor is shifting in your direction. And every no you endured is about to be overshadowed by the weight of a holy yes. You are moving forward. Not because the pain is gone, but because purpose is greater. You are crossing over. Not because you weren't wounded, but because you've been healed. You are rising, not because you were never rejected, but because you learned how to keep walking when the ones you loved walked away. Don't delay. Don't look back. Don't wait for someone to understand what God already confirmed. Zab. Speak. Hif. Step into the new. Speak life over what God has shown you. Shift into the posture of authority you were born to carry. Declare it again. I rise. I release. Arraign. I rise from every low place, every buried trauma, every unanswered question. I release the people, the pain, the need to be understood. I reign, not as perfect, but as chosen. Your alignment with heaven has now pulled your destiny into motion, and nothing and no one can stop what God has initiated. Your yes has become a weapon. Your obedience has become a key. And your healing has become a hammer, smashing every lie that once told you to stay small. Type ISAYYES to Destiny in the comments if this message confirms your moment. Blessing code 2424 is now releasing open doors in your favor. While you slept, angels moved. While you wept in silence, heaven recorded your tears like scrolls of sacred oil. While you laid in bed asking, why did they do this to me? And why did it have to be someone I loved? A divine exchange was taking place in the courts of eternity. And though the betrayal felt final, though the silence felt suffocating, something powerful was happening in the shadows. God was trading what was stolen for something stronger. You see, not everything that happens to you is visible in the natural. Most of the victories you walk into were already decided in a dimension your eyes never saw. When you chose to stay silent, when you chose to forgive, when you chose not to clap back, you gave heaven something to work with. You gave heaven legal access to intervene. You handed your name into divine custody. And God took it seriously. While you rest, angels rise. Not because you're helpless, but because you're obedient. Not because you're weak, but because you've yielded. There is a sacred power in surrender. When you let go of the need to be vindicated by people, you make room for heaven's vengeance to speak louder than anything your mouth could declare. You didn't fight. You didn't drag their name. You didn't expose the hidden agendas. Instead, you let God handle it, and He did. Because in the spirit realm, your stillness was louder than slander. Your tears were louder than the lies. Your restraint was louder than the rumors. And heaven responded. While your heart broke, angels stood guard. While they planned your downfall, God was drafting your promotion. And in a holy chamber not made by hands, an exchange took place, one that no man, no betrayal, no slander can reverse. What was cursed is now crowned. What was used to shame you has now become a seal of distinction. The false accusations, the slander, the undermining, the secrets, they all became receipts. Heaven collected every one of them. And in the silence of the Spirit, your name was rewritten, not with wounds, but with weight. Not with what they said, but with what God decreed. And now, the spirit realm has taken notice. Let this settle into your spirit. They didn't just lie about you. They triggered a courtroom hearing in heaven. And while you were still, while you held your tongue, while you cried into your pillow and whispered, God, I trust you, the judge stood up. The angels stepped forward, and the exchange was completed. A betrayal became your transaction. You traded heartbreak for holy fire. You traded abandonment for acceleration. You traded gossip for glory. Because in this realm, the Spirit deals not just in emotions, but in evidence. And your tears, they were evidence. Every night you worship instead of worrying, that was evidence. Every moment you didn't defend yourself, evidence. Every decision to stay in obedience when it would have been easier to react. More evidence. And heaven looked upon the evidence and said, "Release the reversal. Issue the recompense. Send the restoration." So now, there's a divine shift happening beneath the surface. You may not see it yet, but you will feel it. Doors will open without explanation. People who overlooked you will begin to sense your weight. Opportunities that were blocked will begin to shake loose. Why? Because the exchange already happened. And you don't need man's confirmation when you've already received heaven's compensation. There are things being reversed that you didn't even know were stolen from you. Words spoken against you that never made it past heaven's firewall. Schemes that were plotted in dark places but disintegrated in divine fire. You don't have to chase what was taken. You don't have to plead for restoration. It's already on the way. Because God has a justice system like no other. And He pays back with interest. The one who betrayed you thought they won. But what they didn't know was this: God used them as currency. Their betrayal bought you a new dimension. Their slander paid for your next level. Their silence purchased your separation, and that separation became your sanctification. This is the power of the silent exchange. It can't be manipulated. It cannot be rushed. It happens only when you yield. Only when you trust. Only when you let heaven have the final say. And now that you have, your name is echoing through realms. Heaven knows who you are. Hell fears who you are. And the earth is about to witness who you are becoming. So breathe deeply. The burden has been lifted. The exchange has already occurred. And your weeping was not wasted. It was collected, bottled, valued, and poured back onto your future like liquid gold. Your midnight prayers made noise in eternity. And now, your morning will carry miracles. Type "I believe the exchange" in the comments if this message has confirmed what your spirit already knew. Blessing code 1919 is now moving silently through your atmosphere, working in your favor. Let every lying tongue be silenced. Let every false narrative collapse. Let every hidden scheme be dragged into the light. For the Lord your God, the one who saw it all, heard it all, and counted every silent tear, has now arisen as judge, as king, and as defender. And what once felt like abandonment will now be revealed as divine protection. You were not forsaken. You were preserved. You were not passed over. You were hidden until the fullness of time. And now, hear it clearly. Justice is not coming. It has already begun. They thought they could throw your name in the dirt and bury your voice, but they didn't know that you were the seed. And what do seeds do when buried? They rise. They multiply. They break through. A pit they dug for you. It wasn't your grave, it was your greenhouse. A place of divine cultivation. A place where roots grew deep and strength formed far from their eyes. The pit they plan will become the hole that swallows their own schemes. That's how divine justice works. The traps they built for you will catch their own feet. The gossip they spread about you will echo back into their own space. The curses they whispered are now being reversed. Because you cannot curse what God has crowned. You cannot remove what heaven has sealed. You, chosen one, are no longer in hiding. The season of silence with never punishment, it with positioning. The isolation wasn't exile, it was elevation without noise. And now the Lord says, it is time for justice to be seen. It is time for the righteous to shine. It is time for what was done in secret to be overturned in glory. This is not revenge. This is reversal. This is what it looks like when God flips the script. Ashes are turning to oil. Sorrow is turning to joy. What was stripped is being restored. The very mouths that tried to sabotage you will have no choice but to witness your rise. Not because you demanded it, not because you chased it, but because God orchestrated it. Heaven has issued a reversal, and what was spoken in wrong spirits is now being unwound. The false accusations are turning into divine affirmations. The moments of betrayal are becoming monuments of breakthrough. The place they thought would break you is now the place God is building you. And you don't have to lift a hand. You don't have to send a message. You don't have to chase vindication. You just have to keep walking. Keep praying. Keep obeying. Because justice is not delayed, it's disguise. It doesn't always show up in thunder. Sometimes it shows up in your peace. Sometimes it arrives in closed doors that you thought were rejections, but were really redirections. God's justice is not just fair, it's prophetic. He doesn't just balance the scales, He flips them in your favor. And right now, as you stand in the aftermath of what they did, what they said, what they withheld, know this: you are no longer the victim in this narrative. You are the vindicated. Your steps are being ordered. Your name is being cleared. Not because men decided to apologize, not because they finally saw your worth, but because heaven declared it so. And when heaven speaks, the earth must respond. When the King of Glory rules, no voice of betrayal can override the verdict. So walk boldly now. Lift your head. The shame is gone. The fear is broken. The weight is lifting. Because justice has entered the room. And as it enters, a divine reversal begins to flood every space you were once denied. Where they closed the door, God opens another. Where they said you'd fail, God elevates you without their help. Where they tried to erase you, God engraves your legacy into eternal places. This is divine reversal. This is justice that moves in silence, but lands in power. This is not you getting even. This is God setting everything in motion. And not one tear was wasted. Not one prayer went unheard. Not one silent moment was empty. He collected it all, and now He multiplies it. If you've carried the weight of injustice, if you've watched them prosper while you suffered, your reversal has now begun. And nothing will stop what God has decreed. The same voices that tried to cancel you will have to watch God crown you. So say it aloud: justice is mine because I am His. What they meant to break me, God used to build me. This reversal is my reminder: heaven rules. If this word stirred something in your soul, and you feel led to help us share more truth and revelation, consider giving a super thanks, with contributions of up to $5. Your generosity is deeply appreciated and fuels the production of these spirit-led messages. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the Support Here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And don't forget to subscribe for more prophetic guidance, deep spiritual insight, and divine clarity. You're not alone. This channel is your spiritual tribe. Type divine reversal in the comments if you receive this word. Lesson code 555 is activating in your favor right now. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Let these 3 declarations fall upon your life like oil. You are not stepping into the unknown blindly. You are walking with heaven's mark upon your soul. God did not bring you this far to leave you fractured. He didn't carry you through the betrayal, the silence, the sifting, just to abandon you at the threshold. Before midnight, your anointing was targeted, but it was never terminated. What was attacked, heaven has now armored. What was wounded, heaven has now healed. What was spoken against you, heaven has now silenced. You are leaving this moment with more than a word. You are leaving with a mantle. A visible, tangible shift has occurred. In the unseen realm, you have passed the test. The pain has become your passage. The betrayal has become your birthing. And the fire has become your fuel. Let this settle deep in your spirit. What they meant to steal, God will multiply. They touched the wrong one. They aimed their words at someone chosen. They crafted weapons against someone covered. What they didn't realize is that you are part of a holy remnant, not moved by man's approval, not shaken by man's absence, not defined by the betrayal that once broke you. You are defined by the covenant that rebuilt you. You are rising not by motion, but by decree. You are stepping forward not because the weight disappeared, but because the grace increased. And now, in this final moment, heaven whispers over your destiny. You're not falling, you're being lifted. Lifted above shame. Lifted above confusion. Lifted above misrepresentation. Lifted into the dimension where only the obedient dwell. Where oil flows without apology. Where favor follows not because you chased it, but because you were faithful when no one was watching. Let them wonder how you survived. Let them marvel at your peace. Let them observe your rise. But know this, they don't have to understand your anointing. They didn't give it. Your next season is not one of striving. It is one of soaring. The ache hath been exchanged for acceleration. The betrayal has been turned into beauty. You are not bitter. You are not broken. You are becoming. The release has already begun. And what was done to you has now become what will flow through you. You are sealed in the Spirit. You are seen by the Father. And now, you are sent. Go forward in boldness. Go forward in authority. Go forward in the name of the one who vindicates, elevates, and never forgets. Type "I receive this final word" in the comments if this message blessed you. Blessing code 000 is sealing every promise released over your life.